Despite the Colorado Avalanche 3-0-1 start, I got a lot of questions on if Jared Bednar should fire up the Bednar Blendar right now. So let's talk about that in a new episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
You're Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of Locked On Avalanche, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Chris Maselli. Joining me soon next week, back, will be Mr. Zach Pearson. But for now, you got me solo. Thank you for tuning in and making it your first listen of the day. Always appreciate it. If you want to get in on the conversation, join our subtext. Link is in the show notes below. You chat with Zach and I one-on-one. We get your opinion, everything Avalanche related, and share it on this very podcast. We're going to get to a lot of questions, listener questions today, especially from those subtext people, because I get them all the time. And there seem to be a theme, really, like there's always like two, maybe three themes or questions you get more of than others. And for this mailbag, it was, should the lines get mixed up just to get things going for certain people or certain lines? And of course, Martin Necas questions. So we'll get to them. And then the third one, if you want to say, was Scott Wedgwood. So if you're watching on YouTube and you see the three bullet points we have over there, that's really what we're going to be talking about today. And we'll start with what I said at the top, because I got a lot of questions on that. And it's weird because people are happy because the Avalanche are off to a good start to the season and they're winning and they're getting points. But of course, and we talked about it in yesterday's episode, there are guys that still got to get going. So I had some questions about if, Jared Bednar should move things around. I had one question say, get the second line going, swap Landy and Colton. I'll start there. I don't think that, first of all, I think the Avalanche are awarded the luxury right now of the guys who like Gabe Landeskog or even Brock Nelson. They're awarded the luxury right now of having time to get them going for the beginning of a regular season, when it sometimes takes guys some time. Sometimes the entire month of October. Sometimes entire teams need the month of October to get going. Clearly, there's players that need some time too. So I think because the Avalanche are winning, you're allowing these guys some extra time to get in the flow of a regular season while winning. If you're losing like last season, I can't remember if Bednar was flipping lines after that start last year of the first 4 games. He probably was. He probably made some moves here and there. I don't remember if he was or not. But yeah, when you start off 0-4 and you give up 8 goals in your first 2 games, you lose those first 3 games at home after the first road game. There's going to be some changes here and there, right? So I'm sure we saw that. It's kind of the opposite right now because you're winning. It's like, okay, like even though these guys are in the positions that we want them to be in, as far as what lines they're on, and they're not fully engaged yet, they're not fully in their mid-season form, at least we're winning. And I don't think Ross Colton is the answer of swapping him going up to the second line and dropping Landeskog down to a third line right now. You got to give Landeskog a little bit more time here. I think because of how he played in the playoffs, which was very good. I think, a lot of us, myself included, thought like, oh, he's just going to pick up right from there. You get amped up when it's playoff time, even if you've missed 3 seasons. So now we're back into like the slog of a season. And, I just feel like you got to give him a little bit more time just to get acclimated to the day in, day out grind. But, Ross Colton is I think where a lot of people would go to say like, hey, if you're going to move anybody up, move him up. But, Colton himself only has a singular point on the season and it's a goal, but that's it. So if it's a production thing, like if you were going to move a guy up who's producing, like just having a great early start to the year on a third or fourth line, that would kind of be your answer right now. Like tap into that, move him up to the second line. If you got to move a guy down, so be it. But there's, while guys on the bottom six, there's guys that having good starts to the season. It's not like last year with Ross Colton's start. Colton's start last year, he was phenomenal. Maybe you do that if last year's kind of Ross Colton start translated into this year, maybe. But right now, he's just holding his own like a lot of people are on the bottom six. So I don't think you move a ton around right now because you're winning, you're getting points, socked away. So ride this out for a little while. I did get a question. This is from Mike. It said, surprised to not have Landy or Val down low on power play 1. That, yes, that is a change that I would make. And I responded to him saying, like, I was surprised Val Nichushkin was not on the top power play unit from game 1. I think he should be. He's a big body. He's a net front presence. That's what you want. So yes, that is definitely a change that I could say I could see it. I could see Jared Bednar doing anything, but that's something that I would do. And the power play, while we keep saying like it's looking good, you're not getting the results. Maybe that's just a little bit extra to start getting those results, having more of a net front presence. You have some, you do. Like, it's not like it's completely non-existent, but I think Val brings a different dynamic to a net front presence than what you're getting on the power play 1 right now. That just those greasy goals, those cleanup goals, those rebounds. While you have, Arturi Lehkonen is good at that. You have other guys, Brock Nelson is good at that. I think Val is the best at that. And he, like I said, he's the big body. So you can, he can maneuver guys around. So, but I don't think we're at the, there's no panic button, and winning helps that. Winning games and getting points helps all of that. Because there's no anger. I get a lot of questions where you can tell in the text there's anger. There's no anger here. It's like, hey, should we do this we're winning, but let's win more. Let's win by more. Let's have full 60s. You always want that stuff, no matter what line you're putting out there, where guys are. You always want that stuff. So, and I don't know who, like, I know the Colton one, like I said, do you roll the dice and say, hey, let's, move Gavin Brindley up? I wouldn't put him in like a second line right now. I think he's still getting his feet wet to the NHL game. That's why you've seen his minutes kind of be so low. But if you want him, say, okay, we're doing this in increments for him. Here's 4 games. That should be enough to kind of get a good feel for how these games go. Let's increase his minutes. And the only way you increase his minutes is you bump him up. But it's less for me about giving him more minutes and taking away from someone like Gabe Landeskog. Like, I don't want to do that right now. We're 4 games into the season. So winning cures a lot of ills. And that's the one where it's like, you don't have to force the issue on anything right now. You're awarded time. We're only a couple weeks into the season. So let's just see if we can get these guys to break out. And all it would need is just a dominant game from especially that second line, where they're the ones who collectively put up like 6, 7, or 8 points. That's a ton for a second line, but those guys are capable of doing that, where you get, a 2-goal night from Nichushkin while Landy and Brock assist on both of those. Like, right off the bat, there's 4 points right there. So you get that, and then all of those questions go away, because it's funny or we'll get to Scott Wedgwood in a little bit, how he's playing. I got questions on if he should overtake the 1A for the goalie position. So we jump to these conclusions so early in the season when there's so much to go. And I understand it, but I also appreciate that no one is in panic mode right now. It's just, hey, certain guys like Martin Necas and Nathan McKinnon are already in midseason form. Then the expectation is other guys should be too. And sometimes guys just take time. So we can have this conversation again in another 3 to 4 to 5 weeks. And then we'll kind of say, okay, well, it's been enough time. Now, do we need to make some sweeping changes? And then again, it would depend on the standings. If you're still putting points in on your record, how long do you hold out for specific guys to really get jump started? That's the question. I can't answer that question right now. It's too difficult to answer that question right now. In another month, sure. Yeah, I think we have a better viewpoint of that. I mentioned Martin Necas and his start to the season. Got a lot of, obviously, you always get questions on him when it comes to everything, his season, his contract, playing with McKinnon. So I do have a couple questions on him, and we will get to those after this. Let's hear from FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets. If you win, that's right, you could pick a bet, put down $5. If it hits, you unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I don't have Zach here to tell me if it's a sure bet that the Denver Broncos are going to win this week, but they seem to be on a pretty good run. So I hate saying put that $5 down on them because I'm terrible at sports betting, but they seem like a pretty good bet right now. So if you want to put $5 down on the Broncos to win, if that thing wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use wherever you want within the FanDuel app. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com right now to download the FanDuel app and get started today. All right. Of course, we have questions on Martin Necas. And I don't know where to start because I don't know if I want to start with the contract. I'll start with I got a couple of people asking if he's going to hit 50 goals this year. I know there was somebody on the NHL network who threw that out, said, hey, I'm going to predict he hits 50. I think Jesse over at Grill Sports predicted that as well. That he's going to hit 50. I can't go that far. While if you listen to this episode, the show, you know I'm a Martin Necas supporter. I feel like he's going to have a monster season. We'll get into the contract. We've gotten to the contract how many times? 50 is a lot for anybody. And for a guy whose career high is 28, to go from a career high of 28 to jump that up to 50, you're almost doubling your career high is bananas. Is it possible? Sure. I know the 28, it came on another team. And that's what we've been saying a lot of is, hey, what can Martin Necas do on a team that suits his ability? And playing with Nathan McKinnon is going to have so many more opportunities. I get all that. And the numbers will go up because of that. But to 50 is wild. Hey, if he doesn't sign a contract and he puts up a 50 goal season, we're not talking, we're talking 12 million a year for him. But I think that's a big ask to go from a career high of 28 up to 50. And when you think of like Mikko Rantanen, you know how many total career seasons Mikko Rantanen has had of 50 goals? 1. So his entire career with the Avalanche, where he was dominant, he put up 1 season where he had 50 goals. And I'm pretty sure that was the season where Nathan McKinnon was injured here and there throughout the year. So he really did it on his own. So if I'm correct on that, I have to check the years, but I think that Jared McKinnon missed some time. 50 is a big number for anybody. 40, absolutely. I could definitely see him getting 40. Because of, and that's simply because of the team suits him better. But even when you're on a team that fits the best parts of your game, and it's just a great fit, no matter what the player is on whatever team, 50 is a big number. And you're basically saying Martin Necas is going to be up there with the leading goal scorers in the NHL, something that he's never even sniffed before. Hey, he's a young guy. He's 26 years old. He could be hitting that next stage of his career. where he just catapults into the next level of stardom. But is it 50 goals? That is a lot. I would love to see it. I'm not saying don't do it, but you don't really get that a ton. And I mean, if his career high on a team like Carolina was in the high 30s, then I'd be saying like, okay, yeah, the Avalanche bump that he would get, I could see him get an extra 10 to 12 goals. So that then you're kind of in that world. So going from really 28 to 40 is a big bump too. And is that what the Avalanche bump could give him from 28 to 40? I think so. I think that's more in the realm of the possibility. But hey, I mean, it's not like 50 is impossible. Guys get 50 every year. But it's very few guys. It's not like a dozen or 15, 20 guys get 50 goals a year. It's a select few. It's the superstars of the league. And it's not like they follow that up year after year after year of hitting 50. Would love to see it. I just want to be a little bit in reality, but hey, if he even gets 40, that's a great season. So we'll see. We'll see where it goes. Got a question. Let's see here. There was one about the contract, and does he go for a max term deal or a McDavid style contract? I think we need to kind of get away from comparing the Connor McDavid contract to anybody else's, because what McDavid did was set his team up so he can go win a cup and take a monster cut to do that. Martin Necas is not in that realm. He's not in that world. In terms of dollar, like he's not going to take less so the Colorado Avalanche have more money to go play around with. That'd be nice, but he's not in that world. Like Connor McDavid makes probably more money on endorsements than he does on his NHL contract. And he's in a position to do that, to take less money, because at his stage in his career, money doesn't really mean much to him. For Necas, while he's made a great amount of money, he's of your normal NHL player that he's at the contract where you're going to want to cash in as much as you can. Connor McDavid can go cash in again. And sure, to some degree, so can Martin Necas. But so the dollar amount thing and just the fact of taking less, I don't think is going to happen for Necas. As far as term goes, with a 2-year deal that McDavid signed, I don't think Necas is going there either, for that same reason of he's at his first UFA contract where those guys cash in as much as they can. So again, he's not in the same position as Connor McDavid to take a short 2-year deal, because you're always thinking of like the worst possible scenario, and he takes a 2-year contract and either doesn't play well, gets hurt, and so that 2 years runs out really quickly, and now nobody's gonna pay you what you thought you should be paid if those 2 years ran out and you did well. So he's gonna want. I wouldn't say as far as term goes. In my head, I'm thinking like he's going to want max, because this is the last year that you can sign an 8-year deal. So that would make sense. But what also makes sense, and what some guys are doing, is because you are seeing the cap go up year after year, sign a shorter term so you can kind of cash in and bump it up again. So essentially you're doing, maybe do like a 4-year deal, and then those 4 years runs out, and then you do another 4-year deal, and your salary goes up a little bit more. He could do that if he wants to do that. And it's tough to say which one he'll do, because there's pros and cons to both of those. So you just have to kind of wait and see. You have to wait and see of where his mind is at. I just get a vibe that he wants the 8-year deal, and then you're set. You don't have to worry where you're going for the next 8 years, really 9, including this year. Because if it doesn't get signed, are we Mikko Rantanen 2.0? And that was another question that I had of if he doesn't get signed, but he's got the chemistry with Nathan MacKinnon, Do you let that ride out and chase the cup? And my answer to that was my thinking last year with Mikko Rantanen. I didn't think they'd ever get rid of him and they'd put it in his court to go sign with another team in the offseason. But I thought their best chance at winning a Stanley Cup was with Mikko Rantanen. So if you didn't get an extension done, didn't matter. You'd keep him around. He's been here long enough. And I would take the chance of, you can figure it out in the offseason because he's got connections here. He seemed loyal to Colorado. Necas isn't. I think he wants to stay here. I think he understands like this team suits his abilities the best, but he didn't play 10 years here. And if the Avalanche are not going to take that risk of let's ride it out for the season with Mikko Rantanen, what makes you think they're going to do that with Martin Necas and get nothing in return? You traded one of the most beloved current Colorado Avalanche players because you didn't think you could sign him. Why would you then ride it out with Martin Necas? Although my thinking is the same of like that, he gives you a great opportunity to win, but I just can't imagine that happening. I can't imagine you would let go of Mikko, but keep Marty. That to me, that wouldn't make a ton of sense. So I don't want to be there again. I don't think the Avalanche want to be there again. But and again, it's not panic mode now. Like I said, they traded Mikko at the end of January. So use that as a timeline. If we're around that time frame and there's no deal signed, then we'll start talking about this probably on a daily basis because a deal could be on the horizon. Kind of scary to think about, but hey, if Necas wants to ride this out and he continues to play well, I don't think and it's a money thing for him. He'll be just fine getting traded, and then he'll go over there and he'll play well wherever he's going to go and then cash in the offseason. So while Mikko, we thought was kind of like committed to this team, Necas is not. He's not. So see where it goes. All right, let's get into Scott Wedgwood stuff because he's had a really good start to the season. And of course, we're getting a lot of questions on him. So let's go to our last break in and then talk about that on the other side. Let's hear from Game Time. Hockey season is officially here, and nothing beats being in the arena for those opening games. But let's be real, getting tickets can be a total headache between waiting in queues, surprise fees, and prices that jump right before checkout. It's easy to get frustrated when all you want to do is cheer on your team, and that is where Game Time comes in. The app that gives fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NHL tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. So take the guesswork out of buying NHL tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. And once again, that code is LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go with Game Time. Okay, Scott Wedgwood off to a very good start for the season while we're awaiting Mackenzie Blackwood. But we got questions because of his start, and this is I love this, like the dynamic of guys who start great, let's promote them, and guys that are off to a rough start, hey, do we need to mix up the lines? But we had a few questions here. So Shorzy asked, given Wedgie's performance of late, do we see a path to him overtaking Blackwood as a starter? No, not right now. Like Mackenzie Blackwood's your starter, right? Like you're paying him to be your starter. Scott Wedgwood is been really a career backup, and there's nothing wrong with that. He just seems to have picked up his game coming over to Colorado Avalanche. And I think we just need to be okay with that. I don't think we need to throw him into a role that maybe he's not ready for, or maybe that he can't take on. We did that with Alexander Georgiev. Georgiev was a backup in New York. He could have had the starting job there. It was between him and Shesterkin really at the same time. And it was like, go fight it out. Shesterkin just left him in the dust. So the Avs, I kind of understand why they went the route of Georgiev, because, hey, he was given an opportunity in New York to be the top guy, and he lost out to one of the best goalies that now is in the league. So let's give him a chance. We all know how that worked out. I'm not saying Scott Wedgwood is Alexander Georgiev. He's been around, he's been in the league a lot longer, but I think he just knows what he is. And I wouldn't want to put all of that on him to be now your starter. And again, you're not paying him. It's nice money wise for him if he were your starter. But you're paying Blackwood to be your starter. And what's Blackwood done wrong? It's not like he's played poorly. I mean, he hasn't played this year, but since he came over, they've both played very well. So I'm not just putting Blackwood on the bench just because Scott Wedgwood got off to a good start in 4 games. It's nice, and you have that flexibility now of just going back and forth between that. You don't have to put so much of the workload on Mackenzie Blackwood. But let's see. Wedgwood's making $1.5 million this year. I mean, if you're a Stanley Cup contending team and your number one goalie is making $1.5 million, that would be the envy of the league. But that's not the way that it's really it's going to happen. But there is a good question that I got. This is from Burgundy Yeti. Said, will Wedgwood price himself out of Colorado? And that's a good, interesting question, because when you ask that question of a guy pricing himself out, you're usually talking about the mid to upper level guys, right? You're not really talking about a backup goalie, but it warrants the question. I think that's a very creative, interesting question, because while Blackwood's only making 1.5 million, are other teams looking at that? I don't think other teams are coming around, and this is his last year on his contract too. So that's why he's asking this question, because he's a free agent next year. He can go anywhere he wants, it'd be really interesting to see if the Avalanche do extend him. Like, we're not really talking about that. The extensions are Martin Necas, Cale Makar next year. And nobody really is discussing, hey, should we throw Scott Wedgwood an extension here for nothing major, 2 years? Because he is 33 years old. And I know goalies do take more time to develop, and goalies can kind of hang around in the league a little bit longer. So 33 is not like 40. But is there a team out there that's, maybe one of the mid to lower teams in the league saying, hey, what Wedgwood's doing over there in Colorado, let's throw it. We have money in the bank. A lot of those teams have a lot of cap space. Let's give him a little bit more. And that, we'll get a goalie. But again, does that team want him to be their number one starter for the duration of a season? I think that's a lot to ask of him. But to answer the question, is he pricing himself out of Colorado? It's tough to answer after 4 games. If he keeps this up, maybe. But it's kind of a Martin Necas thing. Is Wedgwood's success because he's playing in Colorado? He's kind of been all over the place. But he's settled in nicely. So does he want to stay? Will he say, like, hey, I'll take a little bit less money to stay here and be your backup, and I'm 33 years old and I'm okay and I'm happy with that? Maybe. But if he keeps playing this way and he says, hey, I know I can go make some more money, getting towards on the downside of my career, even though I could probably still play 4 or 5 more seasons. And if you're doing that as a backup, you do get it maybe extended a little bit more. I mean, look at Jonathan Quick in New York. Excuse me. So I like the question. I think it's an interesting question. And it's just, let's see if he can continue this. How much time does he get when Mackenzie Blackwood comes back? You would have to think he'll get his fair share because of how he's playing. And does that entice other teams to lure him over if he doesn't sign an extension and goes into the offseason without a contract? And on the Avalanche side of things, you have goalies waiting in the wings. and how early do you want to turn to them? So funny, interesting. It's we'll see. He's probably going to be on the ice again in tonight's game against Columbus. We know he's probably going to be. And he just keeps us going. Those questions will be more and more interesting. There's a couple of questions I want to get to the end. Some fun ones here. Let's see. Brandon says, where do Zach and I like to sit when we watch? He says Avs games, but I'll just say like any hockey game. I don't know about Zach. I'll have to ask him once he gets back. To me, I think there's an argument for really anywhere, because obviously when you're down low, or you're in the lower bowl, that just, excitement and stuff like that, is just, it's unmatched when you're that low. And you just have the raucous crowd like calling all around you. But the give and take with that is when you're closer, depends on where you're sitting. Like when the puck's on the other end, sometimes it can be difficult to see. So I sometimes don't mind sitting up high, because you can see everything and you're not like straining to see what's going on. When it's on the other end of the ice and you're down low, sometimes you got to look up at the scoreboard, because that's following. You can see where the puck is better than you're kind of blocked of, if the puck's opposite, diagonal from you, if you're in a corner or something like that, you can't see it. So it's give and take. You can be around the crazies and celebrate with them when goals are scored. Not that you can't do that in the upper deck, or you can have kind of a more wide field of view, like panoramic view from sitting way up high, and just see everything without feeling like we're watching tennis. So I guess both, anywhere. I think that's the end result, is you can sit anywhere and enjoy watching a hockey game. So, but it's an interesting question. I want to see what people think in the comments. Some people love being up against the glass, being the glass bangers. Those people are kind of annoying. They're annoying when the puck is in play. If there's a stoppage of play, bang on the glass all you want. But while the puck is in play, sit down. Well, you don't have to sit. Well, no, you do have to sit down, because the people behind you don't want to look at your back either. And then one more question. This is from Heather. Her mother is going to her first game ever at Ball Arena on Saturday, which I think is against the Bruins. So I have to throw this out to people here, because I'm not around Ball Arena, far from it. So she asks, what are your favorite things to do before and after the game, there or in that area? So help Heather out. Where do you go before the game? Where do you go after the game? If you want to throw out some businesses, feel free to do that. Some restaurants, some bars, some clubs, whatever. But it is her mother, so nothing too crazy. You don't want to get too raucous and hurt mom. So help Heather out. Where can she? I don't know if she's going with her mom, or she just said her mother is going to her first game. But either way, where can Heather's mom enjoy before the Avalanche game, during the Avalanche game, and then after? So she has a nice 24 hours watching the Avs, hopefully with a win, of course. All right, that is going to wrap it up. So I have things to do. I have events to go to tonight, so I won't be recording after the game tonight, unfortunately. Hopefully I can get one in tomorrow. I know it's a Friday. Might be crazy. I'll do my best. If not, we'll figure it out. But enjoy the game. We'll talk about it at some point. So thank you for tuning in, making this your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. And we'll see you guys hopefully tomorrow, where you will, of course, have made it through another 24 hours, where Sidney Crosby's that much closer to being with the Colorado Avalanche.